Hello everyone, welcome back to my monthly video. I belong to a group of Stampin' Up demonstrators from around the world, and each month we get together and make a project using the same theme or the same stamps or the same colour. And our group is called the Global Monthly Video Collaboration Group, but I just tend to call it the Global Video that I'm doing. And this month's theme is masculine cards. So what I've decided to do is to make a birthday card. And I'm going to use both the Sailing Home and the High Tide set. And this is the kind of card I'm going to make. Oops. Let me just put that back. I've made this card for lots and lots of occasions. I've made it for Christmas, for birthdays, all sorts of things. And it's a really simple card. But this little feature piece on the front, I don't know if you can tell, it's raised up. I've got it on dimensionals, and this is an old one that I made, but I tend to keep this in my box of ideas and everything. So this is what we're going to make, and I'm going to use Night of Navy for my card base, and then some of the scraps that I've got from the Come Sail Away designer series paper, and I've got lots and lots of little bits and pieces that I've used and put the rest of the pieces back, and so I'm going to use this, and that's why I'm using these two sets of stamps as well. Now let's show you what we do. Okay, so I've got my basic base, and I've got just a little piece of the DSP cut 1/4 inch smaller. And if you check my blog, mycraftsbythebow.blogspot.com, all the sizings and everything are on there, so you don't need to worry about writing anything down while you're watching. So that's going to be our main base. And then I need a little piece with my image on, like this. So let me show you how we do that. I'm actually going to attach this piece first, I think. No, I won't attach it first. I'll do the cutting first. Okay, so what you need for the front is a piece of Whisper White. And this is actually an offcut. I think it's cut at about 4 inches, 4 by 5.5. And this is going to be our piece that overlaps on the top. Okay, so to change the angle or to change the height of the card, you just move the card around, but make sure that this top corner is always covered. Okay, so I'm just going to have mine that goes like this. And if you hold it up to the light, you can see the card base at the back of it and kind of get an idea for how the shape of your card is going to be. And I've taken out the stamp set with the sailing boat on, and I know that that's what I'm going to have at the top, and I just have to make sure that I've got enough room for the stamp on there. So I'm just going to make that a little bit deeper, like that. Okay, and when you've got your card just about where you want, hold on to it, turn it over, and then with a pencil I just draw around that shape on the back. Okay. And then you can either put that in your trimmer or do like I do and just cut it by hand. I'm just going to roughly cut down there. Doesn't have to be exact. Just so that you know that that gives you, oops, let's pop that back on there. That gives you the shape that you need for the front. And everybody's will be a different size because it really does depend on, let's see which way I was going to put it. See, I've forgotten already. So I want the straight piece like that. Oh dear, it's one of those days. Okay, so it depends on how deep your stamped image is as to how long this piece is going to be. So I know that that's going to fit like that. And I want my sentiment to go here. So just like this, do you see? So what I've done is I've chosen a sentiment from a totally different set because I want it to be happy birthday. So I've just chosen this happy birthday one from the Magnolia Blooms. Okay. And then I'm just going to hold that on. So I've got an idea of where my stamp needs to go. Okay, let's try and make that straight. Okay, so I've already got that mounted and I'm going to put it sort of roughly there. Okay, and I don't want to stamp on top of this card base just in case it's a bit lumpy. So I'm going to pop that there. And I know my stamp's going to go about there, so I'm going to get my Night of Navy and do this stamping first. And because I've got these lines on this DSP, I can use that just to line up my stamp. There we are. So let me just put that ink away for a moment, and now I can attach that to the front of my card. I have already put a little piece of white card inside and a little decoration, but I'll show you how I made the decoration in a moment. So I'm just going to add this to the outside. There we go. Okay, and then we know that this piece is going to go across the top here, and we're going to stamp our boat image just in there. And to make sure that I get it straight, I'm going to line up this top piece with my grid paper, and then I know how it's going to lay on my card, and I know that I'm going to get it straight. So I'm just going to pop this onto here. And again, I'm using that Night of Navy. Just ink that up. I'm just going to try it on a piece of scrap. Just make sure that that's working okay. Yep, that's good. Okay, and I'm just going to stand up to stamp this. Okay. So I don't need that stamp again, and I don't need this ink again at the moment. But I have got some balmy blue ink, and I've got the little seaside piece from the High Tide set, just this little piece here. And I'm going to stamp that up, ink that up, I mean, with this balmy blue. Let's put that nice and straight. And I'm going to make sure that it's level again on my grid paper. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp it again, so I'm just going to turn my stamp round. I want it to look as though, you know, there's quite a lot of water there. I don't want just a tiny bit. There we go. And I think that's probably all the stamping I need with the blue. The only other one I need is going to be the Memento Black, and I'm using the little seagulls. And I'm just going to put those at the top right, just somewhere. There we are. Now I do want to colour the boat in, but I don't want to use an awful lot of colours. So all that I've got out is my light, oh, where is it? Light Night of Navy, my dark balmy blue, and my dark crumb cake. And it really is just very, very simple colouring. Let's see. I'm going to colour these sails with my Night of Navy. Now, you could use any colours you wanted. I just want mine to match with my designer series paper and with my cardstock. But you could stamp this in black or dark grey and then use lots and lots of colours. Okay, so that's all I'm doing in that darker blue. Then I'm using the balmy blue just to do the inside of the sail. and this will match the DSP colours. Okay, then I've got my darker crumb cake, and with this I'm just going to do that little mast that goes all the way down and the piece that goes across, and then the rest of the yacht or the sailing boat I'm just colouring in with this as well. I'm really not doing lots of shading or anything on it. And then just where I slightly went over there, I'm just taking the colour lifter pen and I'm just going to go over that a little bit. Just dot it. I found if you dot just a little bit, it's better. It doesn't seem to smudge the colour so much. There we go. Okay, so that's the whole of the stamping that I'm doing. As I say, that's going to go on the top over there. Now, on my card that I showed at the beginning, I put a ribbon across, but I don't want to put a ribbon on this masculine card. So what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to use one of the dies that comes with the Sailing Home set. Use that now. I'm going to use this one. Now this long piece, when you cut out with it, it makes a piece almost like a rope. And that's what I'm going to use for the edges of my little stamped image. And that's going to give me just something that makes it stand out even more. And so I am going to put my little scrap piece back actually. I should have my silicone mat because I'm going to be using glue, and that would help, but I haven't got it with me, so I'm using this little piece of scrap instead. Okay, and then I've got my liquid glue, and all I'm going to do, I've cut a few of these out, and all I'm going to do is put one piece across each of the edges. I'm going to start with this one, and it's very narrow, but I'm just putting a tiny piece, a tiny amount of glue on the edge. I'm not putting it on the back of here. Okay. And you'll notice I've got a little space here. I haven't glued that piece down yet because I want this piece to go underneath it. So I am lining it up though so that it's right at the edge. And you can hold that just for a second or two and turn it over and make sure that you've got it level all the way across. And if it sticks out too much, you can push it down because the liquid glue hasn't set yet. So it gives you just a little bit of time just to go over it. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same down this smaller edge. A little bit of glue. And I'm looking for the very top, so that that way, so that it's the same as the side. I'm going to stick that down, hold it for a second or two, turn it over. Now that's sticking out a little bit further than I want, so I'm just going to press that down. Then with my next piece, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So a little bit of glue across it. And you really don't have to go to all this trouble. You could certainly cut these out with one of the rectangular dies, and you could have it as like a stitched edge if that's what you wanted. Okay, turn it over, check that it's nice and level. Okay, and then the last edge. Now remember that I didn't stick this little piece down. That's because this is going to go underneath there. But I'm going to glue this edge first. So let's stick this one on across here. And then I'm going to lift this piece up and glue that piece down. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue just over the top, just to stick that onto. Check on the back. I don't need the glue again for a little while. I'm just going to go across those and make sure they're all stuck down. Yep. And then just with my paper snips, I'm going to cut the very edges off. Okay, now let's get rid of all of that. Okay, and there we are. So this, because it's going to go across here and I want it to have some depth and dimension, then I'm going to put dimensionals underneath it, and then when we stick it down it will just stand out a little bit. Just give that extra effect. In here. Now a good piece of the dimensionals to use for these long lines are these edge pieces. That means you can get them right on the edge, and you can do a whole line across if you wanted. But just for today I'm going to use just a few more of these dimensionals instead. Let's put a little piece right in this edge as well. There. Actually, I'm going to put one in the middle too. There we go. Let's take these backs off. Taking that one off. Sometimes what I have to do is I just have to touch them to make sure I've taken all the backs off. And then we're just going to line this top edge up with the folded part of the card. There we go. And there's just a little edge piece on there, a little corner that I didn't quite chop off straight. There we go. Now the only other thing I'm going to put on there are some metallic pearls, and I don't have any of the gold pearls left. I would probably have put gold on, but I've got a lot of the silver ones, and you could either colour them with the Night of Navy blend, which is what I did, or you could do them in the crumb cake to match the boat here. But I'm just going to find my little pokey tool, which has disappeared. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. And I'm just going to pop 3 of these on. And I'm going to put them on the DSP part. I'm not going to put them where I've done the stamping. And there we are. That's my card for this month's masculine theme. And it's really quite a quick card to make. Once you've chosen your stamps and you've got your little piece of Whisper White lined up to how big you need it, then most of the work is done already. So don't forget to have a look at all the other videos from the Stampin' Up demonstrators that belong to this group. See what they've made. Click on the links that I will add, and you'll see what everybody around the world has made. Thank you so much for watching me today, and I'll see you all again really soon. Bye everyone. Bye-bye.